Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. I was hoping you guys today could give me a little bit of feedback on a Scandi Mech deck that I am trying to fine-tune for ranked, and I've had only bad experiences with Scandi Mech on ranked, despite knowing that it's, I think it's generally considered a pretty strong deck. So this deck has seen some very light feedback, but only very light, and really the story with the infantry tab is part of what makes me most uncomfortable. So the idea is 28 LHV, these guys are just numbers, and I throw them forward and that's fine. And what really does the infantry to infantry killing are things like Dragoner and Geverman, which I believe are stat copies of each other. Yeah, looks like it. The difference between these two is on the first one, I'm taking the M113G, which is 2 front, and on the second I have the NM135. And the idea for this is basically, it's the same as the French autocannon on the VAB T2013, I believe, and for 10 points, I guess, sure, and the Geverman are pretty cheap as well, so this is just cheap autocannons at relatively high veterancy, taking 14 at veteran. And at 10 points, they should up that to elite very quickly, at which point I have elite autocannons on the ground, and that's sort of a best-case situation. And then moving on, we have the Livgarden 85 with the Carl Gustav M3s that are really supposed to be more of an anti-armor solution, but I don't love that too much because 20 AP is not amazing. So what particularly makes me then a little bit uneasy about this deck is basically I have 2 cards of Elite Stormer in CV9030Ns, and I keep trying to want to think about these the same way you think about Panzergren 90 in Martyr 2s. But the thing is, the Stormer with 18 AP power don't have the armor piercing of the Panzergren 90, which I believe are 24, and the Martyr 2, well, the CV9030N is amazing, but it's no Martyr 2, so it has less ammunition, it has, I believe, less armor as well, and I don't know, for 5 points less, I think I just, well, for 5 points more, I think I just take the Martyr 2 every time, right? So I have 2 wimpy versions of Pgren 90 in Martyr 2s, and even if they're elite, I don't know if these guys can really have a stopping power for it. Now what I've thought about is instead taking the Geverman 90 and taking those in the CV9030N. But the thing is, it's only 5 points cost savings for shock and a better launcher. The Stormers seem actually a lot better. It's just, I don't know, if I could avoid paying that much for it, like this makes it into a 40-point card. So in anything that has West Germany, when you have the Panzergren 90 and the Martyr 2, it's 55 points per, it's 110 for the double stack, while it was here with Geverman 90 and the CV9030N, it's 80 points per. That's significant savings. It's 25 points saved, and that 25 points can go to a lot of stuff, including a little bit of chaff, or, making its way toward any of these other units. Now, other than that, that's sort of the grinding idea in the infantry tab. I also do have Fallschirmjäger 90 in the Bell 204. I've really wanted to take the FSK instead, and trading 15-man shock training for 10-man elite training, I don't know, I don't like that I like the Fallschirmjäger 90, but I guess I do. I'm not really sure. So if you've had experience with either of these, and you can tell me, yeah, take the Fallschirmjäger 90 or take the FSK, and here's why, I'd be really appreciative. So other than that, we have RBS 56 in the STRF 9040 and the RBS 90 in the STRF 9040. And the basic idea here is that, well, what I'm hoping for... Oh geez, I like this music a lot. Hope you guys can hear it. Not too loud, not too quiet, just right and all that. The idea with these is that basically one of these, with some LHV, forms a fair amount of meat shield and either good armor piercing or good anti-air, and the combination is reasonably expensive, but you could still have a lot of meat for about 200 points or less, which in the mid-game I think could be very, very challenging, and that of course goes with some M41A1s and some Fallschirmjäger from Sweden. So, I don't know, that's the idea here. If in particular you have any thoughts about the Stormer and the CV9030N, another option would be the Panzerkita 90 and the STRF 9040, but I tend to find that regulars with really good launchers for 15 points tend to be a bit of a trap, and even this, it's it's 19 AP, it's better than the 18, it's 20 rounds a minute, which is nice, but I don't know. And particularly I don't know because I think I like the CV9030N better than I like the STRF 9040. Looking at the stats, we get 1 additional front armor, 2 additional side armor, same back, same top, same speed, same optics, same size, same autonomy, all of that. But the gun itself is different. Now the Bofors has longer range, which is nice, but the Bushmaster 2's rate of fire is ridiculous, and sort of that's why I guess I would want to take the CV9030. Is the 1 frontal armor does make a little bit of a difference, and the Bushmaster 2 is just insane. But I could be convinced probably to take one of these up vet so 14 of them, and then keep one of the Stormburn CV9030Ns, and that way I just have a little bit cheaper plus a little bit better armor piercing to mix with it. Not sure if that's a good idea. On to tanks. I only have one tank. I like having at least two, and I know that the M41A1 is, you know, the best tank in the game, right? But I don't know. I only take the 103D because I think the 103C is underwhelming compared to it. I mean, 10 points more, and look at how much you get, right? But then the 103B is not really my favorite thing either, even though it is really good at stopping infantry, stopping lighter infantry fighting vehicles, things like that. I decided to take the 2 points and put it into helicopters, which is, you know, its own questionable decision. But having the Fennec 20 and the Fennec TOW 2 I think is nice. And a full plane tab, because the Scandi plane tab is ridiculous. And probably the most questionable thing here is the upvet MLU. But when you consider this deck still has the block 5 for anti-armor, and you still have the Fighting Falcon for, you know, a really good HE bomber, I think this is sort of good double purpose because, you know, I have F-16AMs as air superiority fighters. I also have an MLU that if I buy it, it can do sort of both roles as desired. Bit of a force fit, but I like it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this deck, and if there's anything that you would change. Keep in mind that this particular card costs 1, not 2. So, you know, if I could get rid of one vehicle, put in an additional tank, I would. But I'd have to get rid of the recoilless rifle jeeps as well, and I don't want to get rid of the Loros. So the PNMK was actually the last thing put in the deck. And I think some people do like the IKV 105 for 16 armor piercing. I like playing against these because they're so fragile, it's ridiculous. For 35 points, I think they're just too fragile. So that's all we've got today. Might have a longer duration replay as well, I'm not entirely sure. Been quite busy with work and just coming home exhausted, so I'm sorry I've been actually less repeatable now than I have been than I was when I was away in a different country, but you know, sometimes it's just some of those weeks. We'll get back on top of it.